though we may not be having a lot of hyper obese people in this country, there's a significant amount of organ fat which is there. Can anybody guess what's the weight of pancreas? 100 gram है बस average. And a lot of researchers like Dr. Roy Taylor others say that कि 1 gram fat भी बढ़ जाएगा ना तो diabetes.
We have got an amazing speaker, Dr. Pramod Tripathi. He has helped thousands of patients through his self-made 1-year program. And his YouTube channel is absolutely amazing. I do tell my patients, diabetic retinopathy patients, to watch his channel. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My talk will be very focused on data as we have gathered over the last 10 years. It's about remission and reversal. And what we've understood is now Diwali is coming. And all diabetics or pre-diabetics or whatever are going to undergo a little surge of A1Cs or medications or new diagnoses are going to come up. Because we are very festival and season bound as a community, and we go through a lot of phases over a period of time. Another thing which I found is, though whole food plant-based diet is great and we all need to we are promoting that, we need to promote that, is I've still understood that there's no one diet which is kind of universal and there's no one diet which is kind of eternal. And these two names came to me because when you're handling a lot of population with different cultural and socio-economic backgrounds and change of seasons and festivals and so many things that come up in the country, it's good to change the diet, like alkalizing the diet, then doing some fasting, cleansing the system. Then there's something for fat loss also needed, then something for muscle gain also needed. And the moment you start tweaking the diets and the exercise patterns along with the need or the requirement of the audience at a generic level, phase-wise plus customized to every individual, then it works much better. And that becomes a very strong starting point. What people at times miss out is the understanding of exercise. Exercise, at a certain level, maybe we've kind of missed the bus somewhere. We need to kind of reintegrate our understanding over there. So we've undergone a lot of learning on a plant-based diet, of course, exercise, stress, again, 30 to 35% people do have a lot of issues over there, and supplement and medical management. So combine these two and the engine is to educate, support and inspire. So that's our learning, and the key approach is this. And I want to clarify 4 conceptual dimensions before we come to the data. One is reversal. Again, it's a term which began a few years back and we use it in all kinds of ways. Now, my understanding and certain authorities also I see is all about improvement. Is the HbA1c improving? Are the medicines reducing? ठीक है, गाड़ी रिवर्स गियर में जा रही है, उल्टी दिशा में जा रही है, अच्छी बात है, चलो ये रिवर्सल कह सकते हैं इसको. On the way to reversal, you might encounter and patients might encounter freedom, whereby the medicines stop and HbA1cs remain good. And now we have that 6.5 cutoff, that at least for 3 months you maintain it and then you will be labeled under the category called remission. So reversal on improvement of HbA1c in EGFR, what we found is patients of 29,000 in the last 10 years. Normal Indian population on an average is having around 30% plus minus a few percent of HbA1c below 7. Now when we look at the large data set, we've been able to push that number another 20% up to maybe 48%. Okay. And EGFR, again, a big marker of trouble happening which is connected to your kidney problems, and around 25% people we've been able to normalize EGFR of the 1,500 people or so who've been handled with kidney problems. Okay, this is unpublished data. Published data is of metabolic syndrome case study, which I think many of us experience the moment the weight comes down, the waist comes down, the BMI improves, the fat profile changes, and the person is able to be free of medication, keep the HbA1c around 6, and sugar profile is maintained. So this is a published data of, and the person also had cholesterol medication stopping, BP medication stopping. It's a one case. So that was one of our first publications. Then we come to freedom. Okay, stoppage of OHAs and insulin, data and publications on that. And this is again a interesting compilation which our research team has done. Of those who were on OHAs alone, 29,000 of them, we could get 30% of them off medications. Those who are on insulin, 6,700 plus, we could get 37% of them off insulin. And those who are on both, around 6,000 of them, again, we could get 7% of them free of both. Free of both. Okay. So that's a little freedom data as a mental whatever stimulator. And today's presentation is on remission as to what is and I would love to share a little bit beyond the fat, which is commonly understood. The fat reduces, weight reduces, it helps people to reverse diabetes, into HOMA-IR, HOMA-beta, kind of tracked those parameters and seen in the Indian population. Also phenotypes, in terms of there are different phenotypes, and different phenotypes have different degrees of remission. And even non-obese Indians, what has happened with them. So all this data will be interesting on remission. Remission as a definition goes is already on the slide. Most of us, I hopefully know it. And what we have seen is in the total unpublished data of 20,000 patients whom we have, we've been able to create around 26% remission of the 20,000 people. This is unpublished data as of now. Okay. Now this one was published at ADA. ADA, we presented 5 papers this year. All of them got accepted and published in their journal. This is a published abstract. And this particular study was of 2,700 people to investigate the predictors of remission in the Indian population post online 1-year lifestyle intervention. And this characteristics of remission, like किसमें होता है, कितना होता है, like Dr. Pawan, when we were talking with Dr. Anand, saying कि हाँ पहले 6 महीने में पकड़ लिया तो मज़ा आ जाता है, full तरीके से हो सकता है, less than 60 years of age हो, 660 kg के ऊपर हो. So all these thumb rules we've learned through practice over a period of time. But when you go into the details, what we found is the remission percentage for Indians, if the age of onset, first point is interesting, okay? In more than 50 years of age people, we've seen around 24% remission. Less than 50 years of age is 38%. Normal weight, less than 25 BMI, around 25%. Overweight, 33%. And obese, which is more than 30 BMI, 36% remission is happening. And yes, those who have not started medications, you can see almost 80% people going under remission. Those are only on OHA, around 32%, on insulin 21%, and those who are on both. And that's interesting. This smaller percentage of 5 to 10% people who are on insulin tablets, both going off both and getting into remission and also clearing GTT is a very exciting domain. The numbers are always less. Out of 20 people, 1 person will do it, but it's very exciting to see that. More characteristics over here is the age of onset comes over here. So if the diabetes started early in age, less than 40 years of age, then 25% of them kind of went into remission. If the diabetes started later, after 40 years of age, then you could have more percentage people getting into remission, 36% of them. And disease duration, we've not tracked 6 months. We should track 6 months. But more than 6 years, you see the number drastically coming down from 54% people undergoing remission for less than 6 years to around 20%. Another thing which we tracked is the whole thing of fasting, water fasting, juice feasting, intermittent fasting. We've got elaborate protocols developed over these 10 years on making people fast. Though we may not be having a lot of hyper obese people in this country, there's a significant amount of organ fat which is there. Liver, of course, we know. Pancreas. Just 2 months back, I was just googling कि pancreas का weight कितना होगा. Can anybody guess what's the weight of pancreas? 100 ग्राम है बस. Average पकड़ेंगे ना 100 ग्राम. And a lot of researchers like Dr. Roy Taylor, others say that कि 1 ग्राम फैट भी बढ़ जाएगा ना तो डायबिटीज, insulin resistance, insulin secretion में problem. And that 1 gram in 100 grams made a lot of connection. Okay, so that little fat in the pancreas, little fat in the liver, and little fat in the muscles. is an area of work for us, and that's where fasting even helps. So even less than 25 BMI, who call so-called normal BMI, we make them fast, lose 5% weight, lose 10% weight. Some of it would be non-organ fat loss, which is muscle, liver, pancreas. But let's attempt for that. We can gain the weight again later. And for that, we've been like doing once a week juice feasting. And my inspiration for juice feasting was Dr. Cousins, who kind of promoted 7 days of juice feasting in the beginning of a 21-day program. And I found it's difficult that anybody can do such a long thing sitting at home. And you said one day कर लो, और Sundays को डॉक्टर लोग काम करेंगे और आपका इंसुलिन का डोज रात को एडजस्ट करेंगे, दिन भर एडजस्ट करेंगे. And we managed that show for 10 years now. Doctors adjust the doses one night prior and handle the fasting period. So again, the moment the fasting is done, you see the remission percentage actually going up 1.5 times or so. So this was one interesting study. Okay. Second interesting study, as a medical doctor, you love is the subphenotyping. Okay. Now this is a smaller group of 270 Indian patients with type 2 diabetes, and what we try to do is use the HOMA to S and to B cutoff. Okay, for the non-diabetic population, we used it for phenotyping, and they were used using the HOMA-A2 calculator. We looked at insulin sensitivity and beta cell function. And let's say when beta cells are working great, which means insulin secretion is good and insulin sensitivity also is good, this name called nascent has been proposed by FFD, because this category was not there. And we studied a lot of papers. Okay, so nascent population is around 33% people are undergoing remission if they are here. Those who have low insulin sensitivity but high insulin secretion, there 36% we've been able to see. Okay, so even if there's a lot of resistance over here in this particular population, still the results are pretty good. This was published at ADA. Then we had one more conference sharing on non-obese Indian population, and here we took 515 people and we found an overall remission of 13%, which is less than 25 BMI. Okay. And over here, if we break it down, we tried to break it down into 4 groups of more than 5% weight loss and less than 6 years duration, which is the best population. We had a remission rate of 36%. And the same group had the best drop in HbA1c to 22%. And then you have the other groups whereby, the rate goes down. So a lot of play of, weight and HbA1c we tried out. Then we also looked at 2764 patients, the earlier set, who had an overall remission of 30% on the overall effectiveness of the program. And what we found is higher the drop in HbA1c, higher was the rate of remission. So a more than 50% drop in HbA1c caused a remission percentage of 75% in them as compared to 10, 20, 30% drops in A1Cs. So we tracked that for these 2,700 people. Also for weight loss, whenever the weight loss was more than 20%, the remission rate kind of picked up. So the entire group was broken down into these 4 or 5 categories. So that's about the remission part. We come to the last part, which is OGTT and oral glucose tolerance test. And year by year, we've been trying to track that. Last year, we could get 382 people clear OGTT. This year, as of now, December, till 10th of December, they can do it. So hopefully, we'll be having a bigger number. So from around 36 people to maybe around 400, year by year, we've been able to track them. And there are many case reports published in IMCJ and other places. This is about a 60-year-old male who was on insulin and tablets, both with kidney problem, with fatty liver. Though the duration was not very long, what we could do is we could track him for 3 years, 4 years, and show that, yes, after the program, what happens, typically there's a little drop and there's little weight gain later after 1 or 2 years is what we notice. Again, thanks to all the life situations that they go through. But he's been able to maintain his OGDT across 3-4 years. And this is a case series of 4 diabetics on long-term remission. This is also a published data of 72 years, 40 years, 66 and 50 years, and different medicines that they were on. And people have been able to clear the GDT for 4 years, 6 years, 4 years and 5 years. So possibility of OGDT clearance in type 2 diabetics, what we found is if they are disciplined and go through the entire program properly, and over a period of 8-9 months are there, they are free of medications, they are into remission, then the percentage of people clearing OGDT can be as high as 96%. Either they fail it by a few points, they get into IGT, like between 100 to 126 fasting because of Dawn's phenomena. It's very common. They miss absolute GDT clearance, but the percentage is very, very high. So it's just 18 people who couldn't clear it. So जो मेहनत करेगा, जो डिसिप्लिन रखेगा, उसको पक्का फ़ायदा होगा और ज़बरदस्त फ़ायदा होगा. Now, what we could also decode, and that will be interesting for everyone to note, is that if the person is clearing GTT in flying colors, like below 100 fasting, below 140 pp versus 100 to 126 fasting, and pp rising above 140 but below 200, the IGT part, impaired glucose tolerance, the weight loss mean percentage is very, very clear. The GTT guys at least have a mean weight loss of 10 kgs, and HbA1c percent is not so crucial over here. Okay, it's kind of same. So weight loss does make a difference over here, we found. And this was interesting. HOMA IR and HOMA beta also we'll look at later. So those who cleared it completely had a 35% drop in their insulin resistance versus those who cleared it partially, who had a 23% drop. And diabetes duration also, of course, GTT cleared had a mean diabetes duration of 5 years versus 7 years for IGT. So that also makes difference. And it's been a lot of fun going to a lot of conferences. Some of our team members have been to Denmark and Lisbon, and I went to US for the first time, San Diego this year, and ESD Hamburg. So research के बहाने थोड़ा घूम फिर के आ रहे हैं. One of our researchers in Korea right now, she's just returning. It's an endocrinology conference. IDF again. So all the 4 authorities which are there: ADA, IDF, ESD, RSSD also. We got a prize last year as the 3rd best presentation. So national, international going on, and it's a very nice team who has done all this. Okay, Dr. Nidhi leads it, and 3 PhDs are there. So I want to thank them for doing it. And yes, looking forward to what we can do. Around day before yesterday morning, I checked. We have 14,941 people who are free. Software keeps showing that, and the dream always when I started off in 2013 was कि 1 लाख लोग मुक्त कैसे कर सकते हैं, और तब बहुत जोश में थे, लगता था कि 2020 तक 1 लाख हो जाएंगे. हाँ, और अभी भी जोश बरकरार है, ऐसा नहीं कि जोश कम हो गया है, बट रियलिटी हिट्स यू एंड देन यू रियलाइज कि इट्स नॉट ईजी कि हाँ एक बार लेक्चर दे दिया और सब काम खत्म और वो मुक्त होके आने वाला है. सो द वर्क इज ऑन एंड वी आर गोइंग ऑन एंड ऑन. एंड थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर listening patiently, and thank you for the organizers